Two people, same job, same paycheck, same city block. Person A cuts their daily coffee. They've done the math, they've read the books, they're locked in. In 40 years, they're going to be a millionaire. Person B keeps the coffee, keeps the subscriptions, keeps everything. 20 years later, who actually comes out ahead? If you said person A, you've absorbed one of the most quietly destructive ideas in the history of personal finance. And here's what makes it so hard to shake. The math isn't wrong. The logic sounds clean. It gets repeated by serious people in serious books. That's exactly what makes it a trap. There's a Harvard study showing that fixating on small savings can drop your IQ by 13 to 14 points. That's the same cognitive hit as pulling an all-nighter. We're going to come back to that. Because once you understand what's actually happening in your brain when you're counting pennies, the whole game changes. Back in 1999, a financial advisor named David Bach introduced what he called the Latte Factor. Skip your $5 daily coffee. Invest the difference. And after 40 years, you'd clear $1 million. The idea didn't just spread. It became doctrine. Books, seminars, viral articles. It gave people a simple promise. Discipline yourself at the small stuff and the big stuff takes care of itself. So, over 2 decades after Bach introduced this idea, did it work? A Federal Reserve survey found that over 40% of American households can't cover a $400 emergency expense. Most of these people had never set foot in a Starbucks. They'd already cut everything there was to cut, and they were still one car repair away from a crisis. So, what's actually going wrong here? First problem, the math was always weak. A daily $5 coffee is about $1,825 a year. In San Francisco or New York, that's a rounding error on a down payment. The median home price in those cities is north of $1 million. Compound interest is real, but it only works when your base is large enough to matter. And the model quietly assumes you exist in a frictionless vacuum. No inflation, no medical bills, no layoffs, no structural costs that have quietly doubled over the past 20 years. The latte savings are tissue paper against any of those. But the math problem is almost beside the point, because the second problem goes much deeper. The latte factor is the wrong diagnosis. It tells you that financial struggle is caused by spending too much. But for most people, the actual problem is earning too little. Inside a system that makes it structurally very hard to change that. The Brookings Institution studied how low-income families actually spend their money. The bottom 20% of earners put upwards of 75% of their income toward housing, food, and transportation. There is no Starbucks habit hiding in there. There is no luxury to sacrifice. Every dollar is already spoken for. Telling those people to cut their coffee isn't financial advice. It's an insult. And for people earning decent money but still feeling stuck, the latte factor becomes a different kind of trap. It trains you to attach all your financial anxiety to tiny daily purchases, which is a very effective way to stay distracted from the things that would actually move the needle. Now, this is where it gets genuinely alarming. Psychologists have a concept called cognitive bandwidth. Think of it as RAM. There's a hard limit. The more processes you're running in the background, the less processing power you have for anything else. And when you're running a constant background loop, should I buy this? Can I afford this? I shouldn't have bought that. That loop is expensive. Here's an important distinction. It's just your preference. Zero friction. But if you're locked in a daily internal negotiation, I want it, but I shouldn't. I deserve it, but I can't. I can't believe I spent that. Those loops are consuming resources you can't get back. Think about buying shampoo. Normally, you walk in, you grab the brand you know, you're done in 30 seconds. Cognitive load is essentially nothing. Now picture someone deep in budget obsession mode. 20 minutes cross-referencing unit prices across 3 apps. Hunting discount codes. Calculating whether to wait for a sale, to save $3. That same time could have gone toward building a skill. Making a call, opening a door. If that hour was worth $50, the $3 saving just cost you 15 times its value. And if that hour had the potential to change something structurally, the math doesn't even have a name for how wrong that trade is. This is what the research actually found. Daniel Kahneman showed that when people are in a state of constant loss aversion, their decision quality drops significantly. Every micro-purchase becomes a trigger. Every small regret becomes a drain. Stack those across months and years and you get someone who is more anxious, more conservative, and less capable of thinking about the things that actually matter. The Harvard and Princeton researchers went further. They found that when people are trapped in the mental loop of how do I save money on everything, their measured IQ drops 13 to 14 points. That's the cognitive equivalent of not sleeping for a full night. The functioning adult becomes someone operating at the level associated with chronic alcohol dependency. You think you're building financial discipline? You're actually burning through your most valuable asset, the ability to think clearly and make good decisions. And it compounds in the wrong direction. Here's what makes this especially sharp. When you study the people who actually built real wealth, including people who lived frugally, you find the same pattern every time. The savings weren't the cause. The frugality bought them space to recognize a structural opportunity and act on it. Cutting back was a byproduct of the strategy, not the strategy itself. They weren't winning a discipline contest. They were positioning themselves for one move that changed the math entirely. That's a completely different game. It's not about defense. It's not about shaving $5 here and $12 there. It's about finding the move where a small input produces a disproportionately large output, a skill that multiplies, a network that opens the right door, a position that puts you on the right side of something structural. The latte factor isn't a wealth strategy. It's a story that turns a structural problem into a personal failure. It takes the real gap between what ordinary people earn and what it actually costs to build lasting security, and repackages it as a lack of discipline. It makes you the problem. It keeps your attention locked on the small stuff while the big levers stay invisible. The most expensive thing it costs you isn't the money you spend on coffee. It's the attention you spend counting it. Which side of this have you been on? Obsessing over every small purchase or already making asymmetric moves? Drop it in the comments. And the next video breaks down exactly what that move actually looks like, and why most people walk past it every single day without noticing.